Okay, and we're here to do an introduction of our guest this morning. We have in the studio Ibrahim Ahmed. He's a Member of Parliament for Banda. It is in the Bonafu region of the Republic of Ghana. And Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempe is the Minshia South Member of Parliament. Thanks for joining us, gentlemen. It's a privilege to always have you in the studio. More importantly, let's look at what's making news on the front pages. Two courts have been nabbed, but let's talk about this one. Aviation workers paralyzed domestic flights, and yesterday there was a strike action by the air traffic controllers across all airports in Ghana. We have one major international airport and other domestic airports, and hundreds of these passengers who were supposed to have their flights on, got stranded at the domestic flight terminal at the Kotoka International Airport and other airports across the country. And the Association of Air Traffic Controllers was demanding for a technical manager to address safety concerns at the airport, and they also had raised certain issues within the period. What do you make of the situation that evolved yesterday?
Air flight safety is a paramount issue all over the world. And insofar as their demonstration was not for salaries or things like that, and talking about quality and air flight safety management and technical persons, I can support them. But when you choose to paralyze in one night as a sign of demonstration, maybe they should have given a bit of notice that if you don't find somebody for us in this capacity to help us manage flight safety and security and things like that, I would have supported them the more. To suddenly call, I don't know the full story, but to suddenly call and paralyze flights is not the best of things. But, well, we are in a country where management will not take things out till people demonstrate outside.
What do you mean by that very statement?
Everywhere. Count the number of demonstrations since January 2013, and look back before that when workers were giving warnings that were not heeded, and all of a sudden they go on demonstrations and issues are partly resolved. Means there's a lack of cordiality, there's a lack of respect to agreements and things like that, wage negotiations and things like that, which leads to strike. As we speak, doctors have also warned again that they are preparing to go on strike because everything that even negotiated are not being respected. It is worrying, the number of strikes that have happened in the last 2 years. It is very, very worrying. And it is becoming increasingly as if the government or management, I would like to say, management won't listen till people demonstrate. And I don't think it's good in our liberal democratic environment. We shouldn't resolve things by demonstrations, even though demonstrations are accepted. We should try and resolve issues by negotiations. And the whole contest about negotiations, you have to negotiate in good faith. And if agreements are reached, this is a sort of a different strike. This is a strike that you hardly hear. People are demonstrating because they are talking about safety. That they think that certain things should be in place to ensure safety, and it is not there. So I must say I support them wholeheartedly.
In principle.
In principle. But maybe they should have given management warning. And I would like the onus of that whole air traffic management, Ghana Civil Aviation Authority. In other places, heads will roll. This is not about money. This is not about money. In other places, heads will roll. Because if you are a chief executive of Ghana Civil Aviation Authority, your role is about safety. The whole thing about air transport is about safety. And you sit there and enjoy all the perks of your life. And you enjoy perks better than politicians, I tell you. The Chief Executive of Ghana Civil Aviation Authority enjoy perks even far better than the President. And you sit there and your core value, your core essence, you want your staff to demonstrate before you find a technical manager, then I think there are more better people who can run the place than such a person.
Yeah, clearly speaking, I think my brother is on the right path. And before then, I have to give a very good morning to our cherished viewers. As a matter of fact, this issue of our airports has been a very long-standing issue. And we have had the opportunity to meet with certain people who work at the airport. And if you look at what their priorities were and what they should have been doing, I think if they had started earlier, we wouldn't have been where we were yesterday.
You mean the authorities or the management of them?
It's the management. There was a time the issue came to, they were talking of raiders yesterday. It was part of their agitations. This issue of radar was raised by Ghana Meteorological Service Department, an agency. And Ghana Airport Company and Ghana Civil Aviation were supposed to have been paying for some of the services that Ghana Metro pays, renders to them. But because there is no legal
there's no legal instrument
because it was just a gentleman agreement between the two agencies. The Ghana Civil Aviation Authority and the Ghana Airport Company Limited are always refusing to do this. And one funny thing about us in Ghana is because the Ghana Airport Company and those things falls under the Ministry of Transport, and Ghana Meteorological Service Department agency that falls under the Ministry of Communication. They look at it as if it is a stand-alone
rivals.
Exactly, stand-alone responsibility. Meanwhile, somebody's services enhances your performance. And the question was, we've met on it on several times in Parliament, and when we met, somebody raised a question that if you are rendering services to somebody and he's not ready to pay for it, he said there's no legal backing. There has been a gentleman agreement, there has been a commitment fee, and the rest, he's now arguing with you that because there's no legal backing, then I will not pay it. Then why don't you withdraw your services?
So that was what was done?
That was not what was done. Ghana Meteo continues to render their services. And because of the fact that they are not being paid, they are not able to equip by the necessary radars that they need for all those services that they have to render. So if you look at it clearly, the agitation that were coming from the workers yesterday, are listening clearly, and what they were saying is that they are fighting for their safety. Because sometimes you are coming and you don't even see your way through. I think these are legitimate issues. If we sit down and those issues are not addressed, then when something happens, it is not the management who is going to suffer. The actual sufferers will be
the
passengers. So I think what they were doing, I will not, even though I will condemn any act of demonstration, that notwithstanding, I will not condemn these particular issues, the legitimate issues that they must not be solved. So I think Ghana Meteo and Ghana Civil Aviation Authority, Ghana Airport Company, the technical issues that they are talking of are not technical issues that you need somebody from anywhere to come and solve. If the money that you give to somebody, solve the little one that you know. Start paying Ghana Meteorological Service Department so that they will be able to buy the necessary radar that you need to know. You don't need a technical person again. Then you pay him huge sum of money, or for him to come and tell you that all you need is to purchase a radar. So in this regard, my brother, I think it is a legitimate concern, and it's a matter that must be addressed. And if you look at the way the aviation industry is growing, this is the time that we have to compare and have a comparative advantage. And because domestic flights alone is increasing at an astronomical rate. And if you look at the State of the Nation address that was delivered by the president, he promised that he was going to even work on the Kumasi airport. So now that the president is talking of that, he's coming to work on the Kumasi airport, and workers are demonstrating. How do you reconcile the two? You understand? How do you reconcile the two? Is it because the workers do not have the patience to wait for the president to come and conduct? Because he said that he has worked on the Kotoka International Airport, and now he's coming to continue with the Kumasi and Tamale. He said just within 1 week, and all those things are happening. So I know the situation must be so severe that the workers, even though they know the president will be working on it because he has worked on the Kotoka International Airport, yes, so because of management, there might be some hidden management issues beyond all those issues, because they said they were coming to. You said you need your problem to be solved. The president has come within a week, said I'm coming to solve it. Even you didn't say it. He said he was coming to do it. So I think if you go further, like my brother Napo is saying that the management is even receiving better conditions of services than the president and politicians are. That if you go further and press harder, there are hidden problems.
Management.
There are remote causes.
Now, how do we make sure that all these are resolved? Yesterday, I heard the Minister of Transport say that, well, the issue had been brought to her attention, and then she thought she wanted them to give her a week because she was traveling and back. You know, how do you resolve such issues? Because these are serious emergency issues that need to be quickly resolved even before travel. So, for example,
you see, my brother, it's terrible in this country.
What is terrible?
Governance is terrible.
Why?
The Minister for Transport. Mm-hmm. You see, the Minister for Transport, there's been a strike in Kotoka International Airport. Wait, the only international airport.
There's been a disagreement that was fueling.
I don't mind about the disagreement, but there's a strike that has paralyzed international flights and local flights in this country. Mm-hmm. It has come to your attention.
It had come to her attention a week before.
I know you don't want me to go to certain areas. You are trying to. What did the minister say? Read it to the audience.
No, what the minister said was the issue had been brought to her attention, and they had come to an agreement between the aggrieved workers, who were the association, for a week to elapse. Before
read it, you are paraphrasing.
No. I'm quoting here on.
You are paraphrasing.
On
I can agree that you are paraphrasing, but you see, the issue is that the issue needs resolution.
Yes.
If what the minister is saying, if she is come to an agreement between the aggrieved parties, then what is the point telling us we are going on 1 week away?
No, she was. And then when she came back, then the strike happened. So she thought that was, they had breached an agreement that they had.
It's even more terrible. Her travel was more important than resolving the issue that is paralyzing her. That's why I said I may not want to go there. But the whole.
Are you not overestimating it?
That is why you were interrupting. You didn't want me to go there because it's very, very uncomfortable. But what
not to me.
To you.
No,
obviously, you are asking the question. What you read is bad, no matter how you look at it. The Minister of Transport, you are paid to make sure there is sanity in the aviation and the transport sector in this country. If there's a demonstration, don't you have a deputy minister who could have done the travel? We love travels more than our responsibilities. I was expecting that if she had done the right thing and I said give us a week, and the people trusted, had confidence in what the agreement that had been broken, they wouldn't have done what they have done. That's the whole point I was saying. That if my brother sitting here, I come to an agreement with him, he respects me, I respect him. At least, even if I have misgivings about the agreement, I'll wait till certain deadlines we have agreed pass before I talk. But if the minister is saying, I said give us a week, and they agreed to give us a week, and I traveled and I came back, and within the week they have done this, that means they didn't even believe the word the minister was saying. So what has gone on for people to become so despondent that they cannot even wait for the week that they claim they have agreed to? Somebody is really doing propaganda here, because the story you just read doesn't gel. It doesn't gel. Do you know how much it costs Ghana? Negative PR-wise. When you hear that Ghana has been shut down. And I mean, if Kotoka is shut down for 1 day,
it means Ghana is shut down. Because that's the entry and exit point.
That's the entry point. I came from Joburg on Monday evening. We went for a conference with a colleague, and we couldn't even get a place to park. It's jammed. 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. There are flights all over the place. And if all these flights is a sudden thing and they can't land, do you know the implications? So people should not trivialize these issues. I don't wish it on anybody that you are sitting on a flight incoming to Accra. 30 minutes before you land, you are told there's a shutdown in Kotoka, so we have to go and land in Lagos. The inconvenience that the minister says, we agree. Don't let me go to the minister this morning. Because to me, like I said, the way we are treating governance in this liberal democratic dispensation, we are losing the plot.
Okay, so you agree with him that a lot more seriousness should have been attached to it, because going by all indications, the signals had been there for quite a long time.
I've rightly told you that this issue of shutting down Kotoka International Port had been suggested at a meeting, that if that is in all
that would have been the last resort.
That is the last resort. All best practices elsewhere have a little charge that the airport company and the Civil Aviation Authority give to the GMET, Meteorological
And
Services
it is not as
Department.
if airport company don't earn dollars.
They earn.
No, well, let's say they don't earn money.
There's no money.
They earn a lot of money.
They are allowed to earn dollars, foreign exchange,
Yes.
to service their obligations.
Exactly. So the serious problem is, you see, sometimes we must think of the country more than sometimes ourselves.
Okay.
And when you go further into that issue,
Okay.
instead of making sure they pay the National Meteorological Service Department,
Okay.
they are rather thinking of
Service, buying things.
establishing a parallel meteorological services like it happens in Cote d'Ivoire and some other countries.
Well, not necessarily a service, but an agency or other department, or
Yes.
just to take care of it.
Exactly.
Once we have the state one.
And when that
Okay,
happens, it means we are collapsing the national one.
Well, we do
so
understand,
this issue was
but talking
so
about-
but we said that it was not the best.
Talking
So,
about-
speaking, it's an issue that needs to be addressed.
What talking about all the issues about who doesn't need to be parochial and the interests of the state at heart. I think over the last 2 days we've been getting all these reports that Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo of the MPP, who had been a flag bearer of the party in 2012, had been addressing a symposium organized by the Royal African Society and the Center of African Studies in London, the United Kingdom, and it was on the theme Ghana 57 years after 1957, recalibrating the course of progress. And he admonished government to do more to let Ghanaians know that public leadership is a vehicle for the pursuit of the common good and not for self-enrichment. And tomorrow is Independence Day. That's on Thursday, the 6th of March. And, well, all these just dovetails into all the criticisms that had been cited, particularly on this very ensuing subject and other subjects that have gone on over the last couple of months. Your comment on, or if you followed Nana Addo's publications, because he addressed that very symposium, I'm sure prior to the weekend, or just before the weekend, or after the weekend.
On Monday.
Oh, it was on Monday. Okay.
Yeah, clearly speaking, I think it is a duty of the opposition leader. He has a national duty to perform. And every politician, if you perform very well, it's only when you listen to your opponent. It's like a football and a coach. He will be raising certain constructive criticism and you will be addressing them. But at a certain point, the right thing has been done. So I'm somebody who always listens to my critics very well. And the heading, leadership is not for self-enrichment. But leadership.
That's a caption of the paper. We're talking about the paper.
This is done in the Nadu speech. That is Crusading Guide.
Yes, the new Crusading Guide.
So it was Crusading Guide that paraphrase it.
Yeah, no, but the import of what he said, I mean, just basically talks about leadership not being parochial, but thinking more of the public good, but than the self.
That has been the view of all philosophers, most philosophers that I know concerning leadership. And that is clearly what I'm endorsing. Leadership is for public good. That's the greatest good for the greatest number of people. And that it is for that basis that we are elected into office. And therefore, when you come, your interest should be to serve the majority interest. So that in future, when you are seeking for re-election, the majority will again endorse your ticket and bring you into power. So, clearly speaking, I think it is a right thing that he said. Leadership is not for self-enrichment, no matter which perspective that you look at it from. But my brother, clearly speaking, we've come to a stage where I think that we need collective engagement, where we should engage each other at every point in time. Because where we are now, I don't think any single party or any single individual has the capacity to be able to manage the affairs of this country. And that is why almost every time we go into the poll. So I will not say because it was coming from Nanado, I'll come and sit here and rubbish it. I think it's an issue that we need to go into it. And here is the person who has been on holidays for a longer period. Sometimes it is when you go into your closet and reflect on issues that you can come out with logical and concrete issues. So clearly speaking, we are already on the field. And there's a saying in the local palace that when you are when you are constructing a road, you may not be able to know whether the road that you are constructing is crooked or not unless somebody who is standing behind you. So clearly, the same thing in governance. When you are outside, you look at it very simple, and you are able to pinpoint certain loopholes. So we will go and think about it. It is gone are the days when you go because it's coming from this man, then everything is bad. I think we are at a stage where we don't need to do that. Let's take it, read it, whatever Nanado said on that day, we take that. And luckily he was there with a government official, a public official.
Yes, the Minister of Foreign Affairs.
A Minister of Foreign Affairs.
The Minister of Finance.
And exactly.
When we were looking for him in Parliament, he was cooling in London.
Oh, clearly speaking, this...
It was not cooling, it was addressing.
He was with our colonial masters too. And this is not the first time it has happened. So clearly speaking, my brother, I will not rubbish everything that was said by Nanado. No, don't forget that where I am now, he has been there on 3 or 4 times. So I think as a country, we need to give him that respect as a leader of the opposition party, who also has something to offer. For every successful democratic dispensation, there must be a responsible
and a credible
opposition leader.
Okay.
So clearly speaking, his office must be regarded as such, and his utterances must be taken seriously. And that is why the government, sometimes Mosquito will tell you that monkeys play by sizes. Who am I to come and sit here and say that all that Nanado said should be rubbish and should be thrown out? So
and you can bet that Nanado, when he's addressing this very subject and critically at this very time, I'm sure you should know that he will not miss the issue of free SHS and why we need proper calibration of the current basic education system we have. Because he said, Doc, he said Ghana deserves a leadership that thinks of the next generation, not the next election. Okay, and then this is the reason behind the priority proposal to redefine basic education and make it free and compulsory from kindergarten to senior high school, because he feels that, well, and that has always been their thinking across board, though, that creating the next batch of leaders and the best human resource will depend on how well they're trained, how well they get access, and the quality and all.
I think it was a platform that some honest truths were said, but we haven't heard. I have read.
Yes, I have read too. Yeah.
And I wish that we could have a clip and show it to Ghanaians. Truth not be said, the presidency is an exalted office in this country. And people who are blessed to sit on that chair, anytime they are speaking, should speak with honesty, truthfulness, respect to Ghanaians. I don't mind a minister theorizing and doing all the propaganda in the world. But if propaganda comes out of the presidency, not even the presidential staffers, then there is a worry. In just a couple of years, the promises and the rhetoric coming from the presidency, my brother, is too much. I can get you about 15. Kotokraba Market, Abu Abu Market, Cape Coast Stadium, houses for teachers, all before 2016. Electricity for everybody in 2016, all in the President's State of the Nation. All in the President's State of the Nation and other places. And when somebody comes in and says, how are you going to pay for it? He said, Ghana has no time for trivia. If I flip that coin and come and sit here, and I will say that when MPP came out and said that they have done analysis, it is doable where there's a will, there's a way, and we believe that there's too much waste in the system. And we gave how we're going to introduce free education for the last 4 years. And NDC hadn't taken 36 pot-shot adverts against free education. 36.
You counted all
yes.
it? Oh, okay.
I have it. Imani came out on 32 different platforms to tell us that it is not doable. I expect that if the president had come to the conclusion, like most other political parties in this country had come to, call a round table. Look, I thought we couldn't do it. Now I think that, look, it is something that we have to do. How can we reach a political consensus, just like my brother was saying, and take this thing forward? Now, you announce it, you go and cut a sword. I thought the first proper land that was given for this school, this free day SHS, was given somewhere in Cape Coast. The president went there, somewhere in the central region. He said, oh, all the chiefs should emulate the chief here, and the land has been available. Now, the first sword cutting, that land was the first to be given. The first sword cutting goes to Eastern region, and I don't have a problem. But let me tell you, look behind the scenes. There are, even as I speak, conflicting cost of the project.
Meaning what?
Ministry of Education is talking about 10 million Ghana cedis for one.
As far as we know, the minister says he...
World Bank and Get Fund are talking about 5 million plans for one. You see, we don't... If these things cannot be done overboard, I thought the president had inaugurated a wise man's council chaired by PV Obey plus 3 ministers to champion these special priority projects. Have we heard from them? You see, governance in a liberal democratic society is not one man standing in a pulpit.
So your point is?
My point is, we have to be serious in this country. I don't like my president, pot shots to be taken against my president for words that have come out of his mouth that he hasn't thought through it.
Aren't you the one taking the pot shot?
I'm not the one taking the pot shot. I told you, after he announced the free SHS, after he announced the free HSS, and people started criticizing, what words came out of the mouth of the president? Ghana has no time for trivia. I should be asking the president, when Nanadu was making that statement, and you took 36 pot shots at MPP, told the whole country that Lee Okran, who was the Minister of Education, said we cannot do free SHS.
You should be happy that a policy
if you allowed me to learn,
that a policy you intended promulgating or implementing, government wants to implement, you should be happy.
No, that is not the issue.
No, which is?
Listen to what Nanadu is saying. He said, we are happy that a political consensus has been reached about free SHS in Ghana. Right? We are happy. So I am happy. That's why I was going to land. But the way, the manner the president is going about it is wrong. Why? That is why Ghana National Association of Teachers is coming out. NAGRAT is also coming out against it. Why? Because you see, in democratic governance, you need to build a consensus and take people along with you. And take people along with you. You just don't do things fly by pan. We just, we gone. You might win the political classes. That is the next election. But it's not going to help with the governance. We have reached an economic situation in this country where all hands needs to be on deck. And the person who needs to lead this crusade is the presidency.
Okay.
And I'm telling you that if the president had organized himself well with this free SHS, by starting building a political consensus from that, I'll be happy if the president had brought India. I'd be happy if he had brought Nanadu. I would have said, look, all of you talked about free SHS. I didn't agree. I talked about...
Would you have agreed as individual political entities or parties? Would there have been that very consensus as you are trying to make us imagine in your own
I'm
statement?
just telling you, Nanadu, just on Monday, is talking about he is happy that a political consensus has been reached. Indio said the party CPP, Indio, they're saying they started even this free SHS. It doesn't matter who started. President John Mahama has decided to implement it. That is the point. In this economic dire circumstance, bring the people around. Let's fashion a way forward. I will tell you that the effects would have been all...
Do I get the feeling that perhaps you're very skeptical about how it will be implemented, how it will be financed, and at the end of the day, how the whole picture is going to look like?
Let me tell you.
Is that your worry?
Let me tell
as
you.
An individual
and
a party?
It is more than that.
It is more than that?
Yes, more than that. If Ghana collapses, it collapses on us, not on
But what
President
makes you think Ghana will
Let me
collapse?
tell you, I'm coming. On Monday, Article 4, you know when the President did the State of the Nation address, he talked about the IMF delegation. Ghana, as we speak, has no program with IMF. But there was an IMF delegation in the country to assess. And on Monday, it came up again at the Royal Society program. That, look, the wage, public sector wage has gone high. There are no revenues coming. Last year we missed our revenue target by 60%.
The revenues coming, only not enough.
Wait, I'm coming.
Only
Last year we missed our revenue target by 16%. We cannot raise any. In fact, we've put VAT and we've taxes everywhere. We've taxed to our limit. How do we now? The reserves probably gone. There's nothing in the kitty. Look, go to the Ministry of Finance. How they struggle to pay. Last year, 24% of Get Fund salary money was released. Get Fund, 24%. We are in a dire situation. It's not a joke. It's not a joke. And the IMF came to Monday to meet MPs on Monday to discuss a political economic consensus we ahead. And their only thing they are thinking about is to cut public sector wages. And that we need political consensus across the country. On Monday, Hanatete in London is talking about the calculations for the single spine salary was done wrongly by the advisory board.
You mean the Minister of Foreign Affairs?
Minister for Foreign Affairs. When we said it at that time, it threw it aside. But if we are all coming to that same consensus, that public sector wage is rising, public debt is rising, inflation is rising.
So now you have come to that consensus, you are telling us?
We are not. I'm trying to tell you.
You are still disagreeing?
Yeah, I'm trying to tell you that the person who is conducting the orchestra is the president, not the opposition. Like my brother said, if the president thinks what everybody else is saying is right, because he knows, then it behoves upon him that the country has been given to govern until 2016 to call that, look, let all hands be on deck. That's what I'm talking about.
Mr. Ahmed, over the last 2 decades, and in addition, extra 4 years, okay, do you think that we will ever have a political consensus on subjects that will hinge on the political success of a certain government or political party in power? Do you think we will ever have? Because we haven't set the precedent that we're very much receptive of such initiatives.
It depends on the perspective from which you are looking at it from. I'm saying this simply because...
Like on the subject of the economy and expenditure...
That would be the area of disagreement between political parties when you come to economy.
Why should it be?
We all agree on the good of the state, but the means to that good is where we agree on how to raise taxes, how to spend this. That is where...
But don't you need consensus on a lot of the subjects?
There is the need for consensus, and that's why it depends on where you are looking at it from. But there has been so many consensus that has benefited this country. And even those issues that my brother Napo has raised, even concerning free SHS, a political consensus was raised long before today. So if you are telling me today that there is no political consensus on free SHS, then I highly disagree with you.
Not on the subject of free SHS, but how the output can be achieved in terms of how funding, for example, the timelines, etc.
The president has brought a timeline. The funding has been a question that has been asked the president, but he has said that it will be in the next year's budget. But the good about it is this: it has not yet been implemented. We still have more time to deliberate on it. But I will want Parliament and the leadership of the parties to look at the argument or the debate from another perspective. But if you look at the Constitution, Article 25, it is there. So that is why I'm saying that there is a consensus or a national consensus. If we've gone beyond political consensus, if you are still telling me that there's no political, even the last person who joined that consensus for free SHS was Nanadu. He was the first person who disagreed. That was when the Consultative Assembly was drafting the Constitution in 1991. Nana Addo was the secretary to the Ghana Bar Association. They boycotted the writing of the Constitution. The Consultative Assembly brought out the Constitution.
And so,
Article 25, it is there.
And agreed
that we must have a free
Ahmed,
and so. Now you have come that the Consultative Assembly, the work that you did, even though we boycotted, we agree with you. So let's implement it. Then somebody also said that the policy that we say we should implement, we will implement it. That's why we put it. But we are not yet there. The Constitution is progressive. So let's go progressively. Let's provide access and quality. Then we get there. The person has accepted we have started the access. And he said that now that I have started the access, by 2015-2016 academic year, that is September next year. So looking at it critically, we still have 2 more years to go. So the 2 more years left for us to go. Now, my brother and myself should be thinking of how.
So we don't have 2 more years. We're in March.
So we are in March. September 2014, we are not implementing it.
Yes.
Then September
that doesn't add up to 24
months. Then September 2015.
I mean, if I go by my calculation of the number of months that make up 2 years.
We have 2 academic years. We are in the first academic year.
Well, I do understand your point. The point you're trying to, but you're making a certain analysis or political argument.
Exactly. That is what the consensus, the political issue that he brought.
School start in 2016 January or September 2015.
That's the political consensus, and honestly, we've gone beyond political consensus to national consensus. So long as this issue is concerned. And if you look at it critically, the president was bold, and the best time to roll this thing, to break this silence, was the state of the nation. Look, my brothers, September we are not starting. But next year, September, we must start. So let's, and cabinet,
you still haven't answered my question.
There is a committee bringing a proposal to us in cabinet.
You still haven't answered
and we'll bring it. You know we cannot implement without coming to parliament. Definitely they will come to parliament. Then it is there that my brother and myself, we should start thinking of, will it be possible? Can we implement it?
That is why I kept asking you about whether we will ever have political consensus
so
on
there
this
must
very
be
subject.
Now the Joint Committee of Education and Finance must start a very critical analysis of the concept of free SHS. Nationwide and wider consultations. Committees in Parliament are the most objective forums where
nobody is disputing
clearly
that.
Speaking. So
the
now
point
now
is,
the president has given
the
it
point
to
is beyond.
If we cannot, no, Mr. President, this thing is the constitution, but we think the timing is wrong. We can't do it from Parliament. I think that should be it.
Mr. Ahmed, beyond,
so now we should not be debating who brought it first and who
beyond
brought it
the
last.
issues of the committee sittings and the committee interactions, there needs to be across-board consensus. And Dr. Matthew Opoku-Pempe has enumerated the various synergies that needed to be built. For example, we have the stakeholders, and critical stakeholders are the teachers. They're from various unionized groups. Okay? Even the parents who will be sending their wards to the school need to be concerned that within the period when this very policy will be implemented, will my children get the best quality of education? So all the stakeholders, not only that's what I'm asking, will we ever get it?
That is the work that Parliament should do now. Now you've asked the right question. This is the question that Ghanaians must start searching for the answer. They're saying, oh, it is doable. It is not doable. It is doable. Why will it be doable? How can we ensure quality, like you are saying? Because Ghanaians are at a level where we all crave for quality. Now it's quality that everybody is looking for. So now that there's a national and a political consensus, we've gone beyond there. How can we do it? And to be honest with you, it is not everybody in NDC who has concluded that because the president said we are going to do it, then we are starting it all. All of us are now doing our analysis. We are doing our consultations. So the broader consultation the president talk of should not be done by only
you have to wrap up now.
So myself and my brother, that is what we should be doing. So Parliament should not debate the way it is debated outside. Parliament has the responsibility to do a critique of the free SHS, its implementation. Look, we've given ourselves to single span. Now there is argument. We calculated it well, we didn't calculate it well, we didn't do economic valuation, we didn't do this.
Whose fault was it?
So we should not take this one by hook and sinker. just simply because it is a policy.
You've not answered my question. Whose fault was it? No. It's okay. Let me ask the next question, Dr. Matthew Poko.
So it's a rhetorical question.
No, I'm asking because you won't answer me. You go on and do your talk.
Okay, Matthew will answer.
Now
I give that to you.
Now, clearly, we need to build consensus on issues because as it is now, all the various political players agree that, for example, in the speech of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, and this is not only statistics he's taken from himself, but also that have been agreed elsewhere. The last census we had estimates that we have 16.5 million Ghanaians, some 66 point, etc., who are below the ages of 30. Many of them will be in the school going brackets. The next stage of economic and political life will be critical to the fundamental development of the country's human resource. Do you think that the current steps we're taking is an improvement on what existed? Or in terms of building on the structures of education and the overall development of HR in Ghana is a development on what already we have in existence?
Yes. If we're going to go to the direction the President has said, it will be a further development of the structures we have.
So then you don't disagree entirely with the President?
Not at all.
Okay.
For a party that ran our election, 2012 elections, on that, how can I? That is why I'm saying that the only political grouping that didn't believe that it is doable after 2012 was the NDC. The only political grouping that didn't agree on that was NDC. Now the NDC also says they can do it. In the last 24 months, we've had a Minister of Education telling us that we can't do it till 20 years. Now, just after 24 months, the President is saying that we can do it. It's such a huge transformational relief.
For you as a party or for Ghanaians?
That next election is not going to be fought on that.
Okay.
36 pot shots are not going to be taken. People are becoming more realistic. But if you get to that stage, then you need to make certain decisions. You have to take certain actions that would make sure that what you are saying is not mere lip service for the next election, but it is doable. That is what I thought it's lucky. But you see, the reason why I'm worried is that people just still don't get it.
They don't get what?
They don't get that before you can do any of these things, before you can do all your social interventions, education and health,
the structure of the economy needs to be good.
The structure of the economy and the management.
You are worried about the management. So far you've been worried.
I'm worried about the management. That's what I'm saying. Sitting where I sit, my heart bleeds.
Well, the President may think that this is just undue skepticism on your part.
No, if the President...
Why don't you give government the benefits of the doubt?
Till when? You see, if I'm giving you benefits of the doubt, then I should see you taking steps to change things.
Why? Because you feel that precedent has not been set?
It is not about precedents. I and you don't eat precedents. I and you eat now. So if I see when I sit, if I see the government taking actions,
but to get something in future, you need to sacrifice for something.
That it's not about the sacrifice of yesterday. Now we have to sacrifice now. We have to sacrifice now as Ghanaians. If we have to take a pay cut, we have to sacrifice. So the President needs to bring all of us on board that it is time we take a pay cut or we are dead. Because if we want to transform the economy, it's not only about growth. Ghana has been growing since day one, whether small, large, medium, or high. Whether we grew 1% or 5% or 3%. Every year, except a few years under PNDC, that we went back. There has been always a little bit of growth. That's why we are where we are. But I'm trying to tell you, that growth has not been enough because we haven't economically transformed the structure of the economy. We haven't diversified. Look, that report that you said, that conference that took place in London, it came out that when you talk about 500 big businesses in Africa, there are only 3
that come from Ghana.
And I'm telling you, it's very, very interesting. It talks about VRA, it's collapsed, it's bankrupt. It talked about PBC, go and look at their last annual business report. It's virtually collapsed. They can't even pay transporters. It talked about SNIT. Look at how SNIT is being mismanaged.
By who?
By the managers of SNIT, not the government.
It's by your own estimation. I'm
not telling you by my own estimation. When me and you, if we have $1 million and we have to invest, we will go and invest in things that, no, let us not go with it. What I'm trying to say is that these three companies that have been mentioned, even in Ghana here, are not performing optimally. So structures, things need to be put in place for these things to be transformed. They talked about we selling over 500 companies in that same business forum, and that before we can even advance as a nation, we need a manufacturing base. Since the economic collapse, countries that have survived the economic collapse in Europe, or for that matter in the world, are countries that do manufacture and produce and export, like China, like Germany.
Is that not why the president in the State of the Nation address enumerated the steps that need to be taken, or gave Ghanaians the highlight as to what will then be intensified?
Give me two.
In the next couple of months.
Yes, give me
to
two.
make sure that all these issues of value addition, etc.
Give me two.
I'm asking you a question. Not asking you a question. What am I to
the reason why I'm saying that,
is it that you were there and you didn't hear?
I'm trying to tell you that I started by saying that if I saw the necessary steps that are being taken, I can tell my people that, look, the right steps are being taken. But my analysis is that rhetoric. Let me give you just one example. Just one, a short one. Ghana has borrowed 800 million to do the gas infrastructure project in Atuabo, to process gas. That is value addition. And I applaud, even though we felt that it has been probably 6 years too late. But it's been done, and I applaud. Why would the government then decide to sell TOR, which is also value addition? Why? So the president, when I raised this issue on a sister station... This is
selling. I thought they said they're coming to some level.
I knew it was the direct answer because I had raised that issue at one of your sister stations.
Actually, you've been raising that very subject. Yeah. I think here you've raised it.
I also said it. So the president was answering me.
And I'm telling you... Are you sure about that?
I'm telling you that I could feel the answer because I had raised the issues. And I'm telling you that if I put what is on the table in TOR on the ground, I see 100% similarity in what Malaysia and Ghana Telecom got involved in. It was a joint venture. It was 30-70.
At the end, they didn't benefit anybody.
It didn't.
It benefited to the other party.
So I'm saying that I need to be convinced
So you're just sounding the alarm bells.
I'm sounding because, like my brother said, he who is creating the pathway might not know that the back is crooked. We have gone through that cycle before. If we are going to borrow 800 to expand and install gas infrastructure project, we should borrow 1 billion to expand. Under Rollins, TOR was expanded. Under Kufuor, TOR was expanded. Why are we collapsing TOR to bring products that is contributing to the drain of our foreign exchange? These things must be addressed. And I'm saying it's just one example. And I haven't seen the president taking good enough stance. And that's my worry.
Somebody will say you're too skeptical.
I'm not skeptical.
You're very pessimistic.
I'm not pessimistic.
Okay.
Ghana, God has blessed us so much. It's lack of political leadership. That is where we are.
Oh, you're saying we don't have political leadership now?
There's lack of good political leadership. That's where we are.
But there's political, only that it's not good enough.
It's not good. It's not good enough. We don't deserve to be where we are.
So who will be the alternative?
It doesn't matter. Whoever is the alternative must be capable of taking Ghana to a better level.
Okay. Your last comment on the subject, because we have to...
Clearly speaking, I think there is hope. The president, beyond talking about the gas industry that my brother has touched, and TOR and other things, hammered on the patronage of Made in Ghana products. And I think yesterday, so when I came this one, I saw my brother, and I told my brother that, you see, today don't raise the Made in Ghana issue because me and this suit.
Did I raise it?
You didn't raise it.
But suits could be made.
How is the suit made in Ghana?
Oh, you see, one thing, I think it's one area that we have to take very critical. And beyond that,
tailored.
Within the consumption of the Made in Ghana.
But this one is not.
He
He went there with me and he wants plenty.
He said we should consume made in Ghana rice, and that he has given. There is a rice mill that has been established in I think Savluku or Bupe and those areas. I think these are areas that Ghana should look at after the.
We do understand that.
Say
If you want
say it all. Made in Ghana holidays.
Oh, that one is not part of it.
That's a distraction.
No, that's a distraction.
So clearly speaking, I think if we can develop our rice industry, because that is the bane of our underdevelopment. If you look at it, if you look at the amount of money that the president quoted, about 1.3 million, 1.5 billion dollars that is being used to import rice alone. Meanwhile, we have such an arable land that is suitable for rice production. So if we can focus there. But I think maybe I've not been a minister before. But I've been.
Are you lobbying to become a minister?
No. He deserves to be a minister.
He deserves.
I'm of the opinion that
he brings in votes. Some ministers don't.
I've not been there before. But what I'm looking at, if we can focus on rice production alone, if we have comparative advantage there, and if we can focus there and not just focusing there, we still use foreign rice to feed our school children.
My brother, you are right.
What are we telling them?
All I'm saying is that we can benefit more from the tourism industry than rice industry.
No, the reason those days,
Yes.
Those days, when we were young, now I'm a bit older, the rice and geisha and all these foreign products were being given to those who were engaged in the white collar jobs. So they were not used to feed us. So after they have become used to the taste and preferences have shifted in favor of
Because I remember those were,
then we
I
all
believe
shifted.
USAID products or something. I think the
relief.
US relief that was brought in at the time. I think in the early 80s.
We've all shifted to that. So if we can concentrate on local rice production and use it to support our school feeding, so that Ghanaians from the start will develop taste and preferences for foreign local goods. I think it will help us.
I guess the worry of many people is that we don't have the blueprint in front of us, the roadmap. Well, from now to the end of the year, this is what we're going to do.
Exactly.
Wait, from January 2015 to June 2015, this is where we're expected to be. And by the end of 2015, this is what we're supposed to be. Then by mid-2016, this is what we're supposed to be. And this is what we are going to be doing. This is going to be access here. By 2 months' time, this will be moved to this part of the region. It's just that there's been a lot of there's been a lot of talk, and maybe many people will assume it's just an embellishment and just the use of semantics in a lot of the things that perhaps doesn't translate into something physical and concrete, very transient.
You are right. Setting of timelines.
You agree?
I agree.
You agree that was absent in the president's statement?
From day one.
You're criticizing
it was
your
not 100% absent from that. If you look at free SHS, he said it is starting in September 2015, 2016. So there was a timeline. If you look at the Ghana Pharmaceutical, 50 million that he said he has given. And then giving with 100. Ghana Pharmaceutical industry alone, $50 million. There's a timeline. If you look at, there are so many issues that he said, but my point is, it is not the state of the nation that can set all those timelines. It is, technically speaking, our underdevelopment. I wouldn't want to shift the blame because we are the supervisors. But our bureaucrats are those who can give you realistic timelines because they are rightly on the job. They will come and tell you that, Mr. Minister, by 6 months we'll finish this job. The minister, you don't have the technical eye. Then you go and stand there and say, oh, by 6 months we are finishing this. 6 months only for them to come and tell you that we cannot finish, we need another 2 months. And that has happened to the Ghana. Is it Ghana Gas also?
Ghana Gas, not only Ghana Gas.
The Ghana Gas. So we keep on postponing. And when that happens, you see the politician. You see the embarrassment that you find yourself in. You did not set the date. Somebody said the date, told you to announce it because you are the supervisor, you are the head. You announce it only to be told. So
the blueprint, we don't seem to know.
So the timelines has become very difficult for Ghana. Listen, for African.
But then, so what are we doing then?
It's a
Then you come to
serious,
embellishment.
it's a serious challenge that we
Then
have
you
to
come to
address. That one I
embellishment.
agree with
Okay,
you.
now, Comfortnoti Teaching Hospital finds 2 of 5 missing stillborn babies. We're told that the hospital has discovered at least 2 of those stillborn babies, and the bodies, according to news reports, were found at the hospital's mortuary. It is, however, not clear if Suwaiba Abdul Munim's baby is one of the 2. Friends and relatives of Suwaiba again stormed the hospital a few weeks ago to demand the body of the alleged stillborn baby. And following that, the Minister of Health came out, and that's happening in your home region.
Not only in my home region,
Your
the hospital in which I was trained.
Okay, you're trained. Okay.
Yes, I was trained in Comfortnoti. I would say that we should empathize with the family that has lost a child. Lost in the sense not of death or alive. Lost because it can't be found, whether dead or alive. And I can feel the pain of a mother who doesn't know whether the child is. You see, even if the child is dead, and you can hack that child that is dead, you can part. That is why even when 80-year-olds die, we go and cry to break us up.
Okay.
So I can really, really sense the feeling, and it's no joke. Especially for a community, for a culture that resulted, as soon as somebody is dead, let's go and bury. The weight, the anguish. And yesterday I said in Parliament that I trained as a doctor. I have done specialist training elsewhere. And I'm telling you, almost every big hospital institution in the world has one time or the other suffered what Comfortnoti is suffering. I've been to one fantastic institutions where instead of amputating somebody's or
They go
changing
amputate the other.
Yes.
Because of perhaps.
Bristol Heart Institute. Kids that were having heart transplants that were dying. In all that, what happens that there is an inquiry to reform and to change the SOPs, where SO means standard operating protocols. And that is what I see lacking. And we are not listening to ourselves. We are not listening. The family that has lost has a case. The doctors and nurses working in Comfortnoti have a case. And we have to listen to all that in a dispassionate inquiry so that we can reform. But I'm saying on authority, my dad walked into Comfortnoti and came back in a wooden casket. My auntie just last month walked into Comfortnoti and came back in a wooden casket. And in both situations, I could have gone to a court. But it's a symptom of a lack of political management, lack of leadership in Comfortnoti.
Political,
yes, political. Because
we have to end the subject.
Political. Because
I'm not ending because you mentioned political. My time.
But it's because I'm not blaming the doctors and nurses, their families' loss. I'm blaming the management that is political.
All right. We have to end now. I'm sorry, you couldn't have a reaction on the subject. Sorry.
Just because political is so big that when you say political, people
I didn't say partisan.
Ibrahim Ahmed.
I didn't say partisan.
Ibrahim Ahmed is a member of parliament for Banda. You have a leadership position in parliament as well. What is it?
It's my whip, my majority chief, deputy chief.
Deputy chief whip.
Yes, my welfare
Deputy
issues are in his
chief whip. Okay. So Ibrahim Ahmed, thank you very much. And Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempe, Member of Parliament for Minsha South, thanks also for joining us.
Thank you very much.
I love your what's
made in Ghana.
Right. We're taking a short break, we'll be right back. When we come back, we have AM Biz for you.